Soapbox Race World has been out for a while now, and while I think it's a fantastic thing to exist, it has problems. So, what the hell is Soapbox Race World? Well, remember Need for Speed World, the freemium Need for Speed game that shut down in 2015? Well, Soapbox Race World is essentially its revival after the shutdown. If you miss Need for Speed World, look no further than Soapbox. Now that is out of the way, as I alluded to earlier, Soapbox has a few issues. Before I begin talking about the issues with it though, some words of praise are a must, as I don't want this video to just be me complaining about shit. I am absolutely delighted to see an active community still trying to keep this abandoned game alive. The amount of registered users across multiple different servers is honestly astounding, and the fact that Soapbox as a project even exists is great. I also love how most servers have it set up so you don't have to grind for weeks just to get one car, as everything is nice and fast. Lastly, the people working behind the servers do deserve words of praise as well, as they are mostly running it out of their own pockets and donations that people give them. Now then, what are these issues with Soapbox? Well, I believe some of the things here could be detrimental to the longevity of the project, but fear not, as I will be providing potential suggestions and solutions to some of them. The first issue with Soapbox has to go towards the management of the main server known as Apex. Now, one thing I constantly hear is you shouldn't complain about problems with Apex as it's run by volunteers out of their own pocket, but that's not how things work. If you want to run a community, you need to be up for the job. Now, what do I mean by this? In my opinion, it's pretty concerning how quiet the Apex team usually is about issues and how long it takes them to fix issues with the server. A while back, Apex was facing heavy lag issues where it took up to 50 seconds or more for a power-up to activate, rendering the server pretty much unplayable. It took the team an entire week to acknowledge server issues and work on a resolution. Better late than never, sure, but some acknowledgement a bit sooner and even a generic "we're looking into this" message as soon as mass reports started coming in would have been great. That's not everything though. Some members are also fairly immature about receiving bug reports, as there have been issues that have been reported multiple times across a couple of months, and there have been instances of Leo, the main developer and hoster of the server, straight up being hostile about it. Now, I do get it from his point of view. Hearing the same complaints over and over for months on end is not fun to anyone. However, his behavior as the face of Soapbox really reflects poorly on the server management as a whole. Now, what about a potential solution? First of all, they definitely need to be more active about acknowledging issues with the server. As soon as people start reporting huge issues with your server, such as many people reporting connectivity problems, let everybody know that you are aware instead of leaving everyone hopelessly confused and lost. That way, I think you might be able to avoid comments such as "this server sucks" and whatnot. Second of all, there needs to be a channel or something of the sorts in the Apex Discord about currently known issues, where people can clearly see with their own two eyes what bugs and issues the server has. This way, I think people will stop reporting issues like the team escape distance bug or the timer bug. But believe it or not, there is a much bigger problem with the entire Soapbox infrastructure than the shoddy management in Apex. I am, of course, talking about the community. More importantly, its hostility and toxicity towards other players. Now, Need for Speed World wasn't exactly known as the cleanest game around. Before shutting down, the game was notorious for being a cheater-filled mess that was hardly ever dealt with, myself being no exception, so I do sort of understand where the stigma comes from. However, the community really needs to stop being ridiculously hostile against the genuinely good drivers. Yes, it can sometimes be hard to tell if someone is actually legit or if they're cheating or something, but if they are able to offer clearly visible proof that they are not cheating, they need to cut that shit out and accept the fact that the other driver was indeed better. Not to mention, synchronization is often a big issue in many Soapbox servers, resulting in some drivers being faster or slower than others, so it's not exactly unheard of either. Unless someone is driving a stock Dodge Challenger and beating McLaren F1s by huge margins, people need to stop accusing everyone of cheating. This kind of hostility is, unfortunately, present in every server. Myself and a few friends have been often called cheaters for beating S-Class cars in maxed out Chargers, for example, and despite offering said accusers proof of legitimacy either by video, live stream, or what have you, most of them hold strong to their accusations and sometimes even report you to the administrators for cheating. But what can be done about this? Fortunately, it seems like the administrators are smart enough to distinguish legitimate players from illegitimate ones, so even if you get witch hunted for being a cheater, chances are the admins and mods from the respective server you're on will be able to verify for themselves if you're legitimate or not. But what you, as a player, should do is honestly assume the innocent until proven guilty position. With the way Soapbox servers are right now, it's really difficult to tell whether someone's cheating or not, so it'd be more healthy to assume that nobody's cheating unless they are giving very blatant signs, such as auto finishers, ridiculous top speeds, and the like. Otherwise, you will be making this game and community unwelcoming for everyone just because somebody can drive a car better than you. Now, the final issue I have is definitely just a personal quirk. I know some might disagree with what I have to say here, but hear me out, I guess. My issue right now stems from the gameplay in most Soapbox servers, specifically team escapes. If you play on any Soapbox server, you might notice something peculiar. Previously class-restricted races in Old World correctly have their class limits applied, yet all team escapes remain free to enter with any car you want. In my opinion, this is bad, as most team escapes are not designed to accommodate certain cars. This is most evident in team escapes like Underground and Most Wanted if you bring anything lower than an A-class car, because you will struggle a lot, unless of course you have perfect driving and know the route very well. So what do I suggest? Obviously to impose car class limits on team escapes like it's been done on other races as well. However, if at all possible, not the ones that were in the original game. Instead, here are my suggestions for how team escapes should be categorized. To begin with, I believe there should be no open team escapes outside of the unused unlocalized string events. A controversial suggestion for sure, but one that is necessary in my opinion due to the previous point of TEs not being designed for specific car classes. For S-Class, I would only set Most Wanted, as it was in the original. It is currently the most rewarding team escape across multiple servers, so requiring a fast car that can finish in time to score big should be a necessary requirement. For A-Class, I would set Late Departure, just as it was in the original game, but also throw in Underground there as well. Anything below A-Class and Underground is usually seen as a bad idea, as the route is really dense and the bust rate is really high. I often see people in B-Class cars getting busted in Underground due to their lack of speed and agility, yet A-Class cars seem to struggle less, so it should be set to A-Class in my opinion. For B-Class, I would set Compromised, just like it was in Old World, but alongside it should go High Stakes. Before car classes were a thing, High Stakes was primarily a Tier 2 team escape, just like Home Run and Compromised, and current B-Class cars, as well as higher-end C-Class cars, have little to no trouble getting through high stakes easier, but anything below 470 overall seems to struggle here, hence why I suggest throwing it into the B class pool. Next, for C class, I'd keep Home Run as the de facto C class team escape, reason being due to the very lenient timer and ease of navigation for many C class cars in Home Run's route, so not much to change here. Now, for D class, I would go against Old World entirely and set All In as the D class team escape. All In as an E class team escape is really difficult. Too difficult, as a matter of fact. Even with perfect driving, most E class cars can't make it in time to the finish line, largely due to the amount of cops juggling around the weak E class cars and an instance of going uphill, which really adds on to the point of E class cars not being able to finish the event. D class cars, on the other hand, fare much better on All In, due to the larger roster of them as well as wider customization in performance compared to E class cars. It's not uncommon seeing D class cars making it in time in All In, and seeing E class cars barely manage it. Finally, for E class, the answer should be obvious. Outlaws should be the E class team escape. Reasons being, it is the easiest team escape in the game with the most lenient timer and the lowest amount of police, as well as a very easy, straightforward route that doesn't get very complex. The most Outlaws has you doing is avoiding a couple of rhinos at a few points, but besides that, there are barely any spike strips as the cops are all heat level 1, with a few rhinos thrown in, roadblock density is very low, and it's overall a very easy team escape that gives E-class cars just the right amount of challenge and the perfect timer to match said challenge. And that's about everything I have to comment on Soapbox Race World as it is today. I believe that if taken into consideration, resolving all of these issues could benefit all servers greatly, and potentially bring back some old faces to the game. Heck, it might even increase the concurrent player numbers as well if management was more active and consistent, the community would stop being toxic, and if the gameplay was more well-rounded and balanced. If you have any other things you'd like to suggest, or if you have feedback on the video at all, feel free to let me know. As for now, thanks for watching.